If you're thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, doing your own thing, starting up a business, don't do it. Your idea is not good enough, it's not going to make it, and you're probably going to lose your money.
I'm in the big leagues, Tony don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding a road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now.
What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of None of Your Business. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and you can also check out the links to all of my other socials in the description below. We've also gone live on Patreon, which has a bunch of epic bonus content, such as uncut episodes, early access, and something I'm quite excited about, live Q&A sessions. Once a month, you'll be able to tune in at the time of recording, and at the end of the episode, you'll be able to ask the guest any questions you want. But without further ado, let's get into it. Cool, so thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. So just to start us off, what is your business? What do you do today?
So I'm in the business of making people happy,
Okay.
networking, and it happens to sell coffee.
Okay.
I own a restaurant called DNA Cafe. It's located in Kuils River. And so we pretty much, that's what we do. It's a place to work. It's a place to network. It's a happy place. It's where people come to either take a break or to just, come and work more.
Yeah.
But it's that space that is kind of, it's what you need at that time.
And so how long have you been doing this for? How long have you had the shop for?
I've had the shop for 6 years now, and quite recently rebranded, renamed, and completely launched it under our own brand.
Okay, what's the name? The new name?
DNA Cafe,
DNA
which
Cafe.
is the three owners, Duke, Nate, Adele.
Okay.
And we just, our DNA runs through everything that we do. So it kind of just came full circle.
Oh, that's quite convenient that
Yeah,
the names are
that
all...
the names is DNA. So
Okay.
that worked quite well, and people seem to have latched onto them.
Okay. And so just give us a bit of a background for yourself and leading up into the company itself, just a bit of the backstory and how things got going with DNA.
Sure. Before we started the business, I was in corporate. I worked for the Foschini Group. I was the skills development facilitator, pretty much looking after training throughout the country. Then I got cancer in 2014.
Really? What kind? What type of
Hodgkin's
cancer?
lymphoma.
Okay.
That was about a year of chemo and radiation. It then made you start questioning life.
Yeah, changes your perspective a
Changes
little
your
bit.
perspective a little bit. And for a year, I had the treatment. After the treatment, I then went back to work. I mean, I was in a position where they kept my position open for me, supported me through the cancer. And then I went back. And now you sit there, it's 8 hours, and you start thinking, what am I doing? What the hell am I doing? Am I actually adding any value? Am I making any difference? And I had a conversation with, so the D in DNA, he's passed away 1 month after we launched the business. And his name's Duke, 38, heart attack,
Cheap.
major shocker.
Yeah.
And it spawned out of a conversation that I had with him, which then also leads us into entrepreneurship, was, when you grow up, in your head, you've got what people normally ask themselves. I have to find a job and I have to look for a job. But there are other variations. There is buy a job, which I never thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, using your capital, getting capital and pretty much buying something.
Like a company or whatever the case may be.
That
Yeah.
gives you a job.
Yeah.
And then there's create a job. So in our conversation with him, or my conversation with him, it was, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I'm going to find a job or look for a job. And he said, well, why don't you just buy a job? And it was mind-blowing because I had not considered that.
Yeah, yeah.
I then looked at all the things that we loved. Love coffee, love people. We love connecting and networking and all of these things. And then we thought of, okay, what is something that would bring all of these things together? We're also very passionate about work in our community, charity work. And I thought, okay, well, one of my goals was to make a difference. So as one person, it's very difficult.
Of course.
So why not have a vehicle that would mobilize any ideas or thoughts or pull it all together. And that's how we came up with, hey, let's do a coffee shop. Well, it used to be a coffee shop. It's now a restaurant. And through the buy-in, the credibility of the shop, that collaboration allowed us to do things within the community that me as a person wouldn't have, been able to do.
Yeah.
So my journey into having my own thing and doing my own thing was, it was situational. It was almost pushed upon me in that if you want to do what you want to do, then now's the time. So I started quite late. But entrepreneurship doesn't have a time.
Yeah, of course.
You can start
You can start a business when you're 50, 60, whatever.
Yeah, you can.
Well, that's what I believe, at least.
Yes. No, you can absolutely do it at any time. And I know, corporate and working for a boss, and it's gotten a bad rep where people are like, no, but that's not what I want to do. Don't undervalue the worth of those initial years. Use where you are now as prep work, your training, as your development. For a lot of the guys, is the focus is so much on where I want to be and what I want to do, that you forget to take care of the now. So look at the now and grab as much or gain as much of it as you can.
As you can. Yeah, of course. And just in getting started with any business, you need to put in an initial investment, right? Or generally. What was the initial investment you needed to put in to start the coffee shop?
So I was we were quite fortunate. We found an existing coffee shop that wasn't working. We looked at what it was doing, how it was doing it, and then identified what we would do different.
What were some of those things? Just maybe prices or what was it exactly? Just the vibe of the coffee shop in general?
The concept of identifying unique things, a niche in the market, those days are past. And maybe in the tech world, you can now still come up with something that, nobody else has thought of. Now it is a case of we're all being fed the same information. I mean, if you look at Google and Facebook and these guys, they've got algorithms that know what your interests are, and they will feed people around the world with the exact same interests, the exact same information. So when you have an idea, it's usually spawned by things you've come across, and it will then create the idea through the effect or impacts of these things that you've seen. And now you've got millions of people all seeing the same information. So when you think you have that unique idea, give it 2 weeks, give it a month, somebody else is going to have the same idea.
Yeah.
The differentiating factor then is you. You can still be doing something that somebody else is doing and just do it better. It doesn't have to be new. It doesn't have to be a completely out of this world concept. It can be something that somebody else already does, but just different.
With your unique spin on it, or
with your
whatever
unique
the
spin
case.
on it.
Yeah.
And this is what we found with this coffee shop. We were going to do the exact same thing, but how are we going to make it different? And what we did was to inject ourselves into the shop.
Okay.
Into the community.
Yeah.
Support community initiatives. Interact with customers. I mean, when we took over the shop and introduced ourselves as the new owners, some of the customers asked, well, who was the previous owner? And, and that already was like, big difference.
Yeah. It shows a lot.
Yeah. So it was about, and as I mentioned earlier, we love people. So it was about those interactions. It was about that networking. It was about, the connections created within the shop. I mean, this morning I was there, and one of my customers came in, sat down, waitress came over, and he asked the waitress, listen, that assignment that you had due, did you already submit your assignment? Now, that's relationship. That's not going to happen in other space. So those relationships, that heart, that passion is what we did differently. And I think from the first month, we doubled turnover.
Oh, wow. Unreal.
Whatever you had, we doubled it.
Okay.
And that was simply through just creating proper relationships.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you just mentioned now that you doubled turnover. So was that kind of what you expected in terms of returns, or did it exceed expectations, or was it a bit below your expectations in starting out, with the initial investment?
It exceeded expectation.
Yeah.
We pretty much thought we were going to build it over time. And
like gradually and slowly.
And slowly. And even there, I think for the first 6 months, we didn't do any marketing.
Wow.
We still had the existing structure of what he had as the business, and marketing would have brought more feet, more business, but we didn't have the infrastructure to support that. So you can market, but all you're going to do is you're going to disappoint the people that you are now bringing into your business.
Yeah.
So with marketing, it's always important to have your marketing strategy run in line with your capability and your capacity. Because otherwise you're going to, if your marketing campaign is super successful, but you don't have the infrastructure to support that business, you're just going to create more disappointed customers. So we didn't market for the first 6 months. We let it happen organically. And that's pretty much how we're still doing
You're
it.
happy with where things are.
Happy with where it is.
And would you consider this your passion, or if given the chance, could you see yourself doing something else for the rest of your life?
You have to be passionate about what you do, because your customers are your clients and they'll feel that passion. If you're there to just make a rand, they'll know you're just there to make a rand. I know I get a lot of requests from people to partner with on things. And one of my first questions is, what's your goal through wanting to do this? And if the goal is just to want to make money, I'm out. There needs to be a passion driver behind it, because that's going to come through in terms of whatever it is, whether it's an event, whether it's a product, it's going to come through. So passion is really important for us. Heart, putting your heart into the product, into whatever you're offering.
Okay. And in starting any business, you're going to face challenges and hurdles and, obstacles. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced so far, and how did you guys overcome them?
COVID. I think, COVID is kind of everybody's cross to bear at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to have 2 restaurants, and COVID took one. And in there, that was difficult. I had a landlord that didn't support us in terms of rental. I mean, the whole world knows what's going on, but I had a landlord that just wouldn't budge. Yeah. Wouldn't budge. And then came one of the toughest decisions as an entrepreneur, knowing when to let go. You can flog it as much as you want to, but if it's not going to happen and it's not going to work, have the sober conversation with yourself and let it go. And that was what we then had to do. And between the 2, I had one that has a lot of heart, that really connected with the community that it's in. The other one showed the cash. The other one had massive amounts of feet, no relationship. It was literally, the shop could have been called anything. It was in, out. And at our stage of life, we decided, you know what? Relationship is a little bit more important than that. We can build on this one. But the other one is cold and it didn't have relationship. So we decided to let that one go.
Let it go. Okay. So that's definitely one of the biggest challenges you faced so far. Talking about challenges, sometimes you have to make decisions and you come to crossroads where you're stuck with a choice that might not be so easy. Is there anything, looking back at your career so far, that you would have done differently given the chance?
No.
Okay. We love that.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that believe you're always going to be in the right place. What needs to happen is going to happen. And I know there's a saying that says, he's lucky he was in the right place at the right time. The saying's incomplete. You have to be in the right place at the right time with the right attitude. And that is what kind of moved me through my career and ultimately now into my business. I remember my first job was with a call center, and we were doing calls from South Africa. The call center was approached by a US company who then wanted us to handle business for them. The South African market was very slow, so calls would come in. You'd get one every 10 minutes, 20 minutes. The US market wanted to use the exact same time period, so your shift stays exactly the same, but they wanted to route their calls because now it was a case of they don't need night shift because the calls are being answered over here. So they save a bit of money. They then approached us and said, listen, who wants to take on the US market as well? The question from most people was, okay, how much am I being paid more? I took it as in, you know what, I'm being paid to be here for these hours anyway. I'm bored by a call every 10, 20 minutes. You know what, if my calls are coming through all the time, I don't care. I'm here for this amount of hours anyway. Took it on. I was the only one at that stage. And then it was successful. The pilot was successful. Then they needed somebody to train the other people. But I was the only one when I had the experience because I was the only one who said yes. I then had to train the others, build a team, went to Canada, went to go train over there, went to the UK, Germany. And all of it was because I had made the decision to say, I don't need to be paid during those hours. So it's that right place, right time,
Right attitude.
Right attitude.
Yeah, 100%.
So there isn't much I would change. I mean, where I am at the moment, I'm pretty happy with where I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And as I'm sure you're aware, most entrepreneurs or most people in general have an idea of what success is personally for them. Have you ever sat back and felt like you've made it?
This is a thought I had actually last week. You remember when Facebook went down?
Mm-hmm.
And there were these articles that said, he lost 6 billion in the 7 hours that it was down. And I thought to myself, you know what? If you're worth 600 billion, why are you still doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I would have, like at 1 billion, I would have been like, I'm done, I'm out,
Yeah.
And this is one of those things when it comes to being an entrepreneur is that you're never done. There's always more. There's always something else you could be doing. There's a lot of things you can build. It's kind of scary because you're never finished. There's never a full, I've reached my success level. This is it. I'm done. It just keeps going, keeps evolving. If you build a successful business, you're going to have the hunger to build another successful business.
Yeah, that ambition doesn't really die.
It doesn't die. You just keep going. So for me, in terms of successes, really, I can afford everything my family needs. I've got a business that is healthy at the moment. So that for me is success. And when it does start maybe going badly or doesn't go as well as planned, then I will need to dig deeper into that, entrepreneurial skills and just build something more.
Yeah, of course.
So you're kind of never done.
Yeah.
It keeps going.
And at the moment, would you say you're happy?
Happy. As an entrepreneur, you have to be able to compartmentalize, I think is the word, is this to create, the different sections in your life. Because for me, if my business is not doing well, it shouldn't make me unhappy. It should just make me want to do more within my business. But I've got another section of my life that is quite happy. So I can't drag both down.
Yeah.
The business is the business. But me, myself, and I, there's a saying, if the plane's going down, put your own mask on first.
Yeah.
Because you can't take care of anyone else if
Of
you're
course.
not doing okay. And so I'm always making sure I'm okay. So constantly asking myself the question, where are you? Are you okay? Find people to talk to. Every entrepreneur needs that person that they can have honest conversations with.
Yeah.
'Cause as a business, you kind of never make it general public knowledge that, my business is not doing well.
Yeah.
So you have to have that successful front of your business. But you need to have somebody that you can speak to. And this is where my wife comes in, because she's that real person. I'm the blue sky guy. I can do this. But you need somebody to come along and say, okay, well, have we considered this?
Ground you a little bit.
Ground you a little bit. Have you
Yeah.
considered that? So you definitely need that person to just ground you. And when asked, am I happy? It is a case of in which section of my life. You don't have to make everything one.
Yeah.
It can be different sections.
Okay. And just in closing the podcast, what is one message you would want to give to a young entrepreneur, or you could think of it as a success nugget that they can take from this conversation?
Okay.
Yeah, you might need to think about it a little bit.
So here it is covered. If you're thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, doing your own thing, running with your idea, starting up a business, don't do it.
Okay.
Don't do it. Your idea is not good enough. It's not going to make it. There are other people that are better at this that's going to make it a success, and you're probably going to lose your money. So don't do it.
Okay. Perfect.
So now think of how you felt when I said that.
I felt a bit terrible, like I shouldn't be doing this podcast.
So let me put it to you this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to think about how uncomfortable you felt at what I'm saying.
Probably like a good 9.5.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So the more uncomfortable you feel, the more chance that you are going to be a successful entrepreneur. If you're the guy who sat at 1 and 2 and went, yeah, if this guy's saying I mustn't do it, then I should probably not do it. And that's not where your entrepreneur should sit. Your entrepreneur should sit as the moment I said that, you should go, what? No, man, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. I can do this. I will put my mouth where my money is, or my money where my mouth is. I'm going to make this a success. I mean, this guy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. That's the entrepreneur. Because
I like that. That's good.
Everyone is going to tell you not to do it. And only through that uncomfortable, these people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, your resistance to it, I guess.
Your resistance to that. That's what's going to make you a successful entrepreneur.
Okay, awesome. I love that. And just before we sign off, so now's your chance just to give your shop a little bit of a shameless plug. Where can people find you and your business on Instagram or websites or whatever the case may be?
So that question I cannot answer yet because we are currently busy going through the transition.
Oh, you said that name change.
Yeah, so we're in the transition, moving from the old name to the new name.
Okay.
And all of those will be revealed.
All right.
But if you just search DNA Cafe, you should get to most of them.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I need a bag, bruh. Send it through quickly. I'm making his dog like I'm in a big league.